Qualifying for the Miami 2023 Grand Prix has just finished, and I have to say the grid for tomorrow is looking very exciting. Checo Perez on pole, Max Verstappen 9th. That is due to the Leclerc crash, which I'll be going over in a second, my worries about that. But Fernando Alonso in 2nd, Carlos Sainz in 3rd, and even Magnussen in 4th, which is going to be very interesting for tomorrow. I think as a Ferrari fan, Charles Leclerc for me is that driver who can compete with anyone when he's on it. He's as quick as Max on his day, could beat Fernando on his day if Ferrari, bring out a competitive car, maybe with upgrades or maybe next season. But today, or more importantly, just Miami in general, in practice, he had a crash. In qualifying on the big lap. The big lap he had to nail. It could have got him pole. I doubt it, but it would have certainly got him in the top 3 if he'd, done what he's capable of. And he messed it up and he crashed. And for me, it does bring about some questions as to Charles Leclerc, how maybe I should be more worried about him or not put as much faith in him. Now, again, I'm not saying this. I hope I'm wrong, but I think you've got to ask the questions now. A few times Charles Leclerc, when the pressure's on, has fumbled, and I think for most drivers it's natural. I think you could argue even Lando Norris is young, and in that race in Russia when it started raining and they asked him, "Do you want me to come in?" and he said, and he said no, and then obviously he should have gone in. You could say the same about that in experience, but I think we're getting to the point now with Leclerc where that's not really an excuse, and it just needs to be that he's got to clamp down on these errors. Obviously, the big one that I had to mention is France. For me, that was the Sebastian Vettel Ferrari moment, the moment, when you saw his car in the wall, to acknowledge that the title charge was over. Not mathematically, but you could just feel it. That was it. That was over. Their final chance, and they've blown it. And again, last season was not down to Charles Leclerc. Let's make this perfectly clear. Ferrari, too many times, cost him. I mean, the Monaco is just unforgivable. There's more than that as well. Obviously, the car broke down in Spain and in Baku early on, and you just cannot come back from that. But if Ferrari were to bring out a car at the same level as Red Bull, and maybe Aston Martin bring out one at the same level as them two, would Leclerc be the driver to get the most out of it and to win the championship? And I have to say, I'm starting to worry that maybe he wouldn't be. Max Verstappen, I don't think has had any kind of big incidents all season like that. I don't think Fernando Alonso has had any big incidents like that. And I think that's where it could cost him. Crashing out of a race and losing 25 points, which he did in France, is awful. Whereas, I could imagine that if Max made an error on a kind of in a Grand Prix, it maybe he'd bottle first, but he'd still come back and get 5th or 6th, and that is so much better, obviously, than crashing out and getting none. And I think that's something you've got to kind of learn. But I worry, is Charles ever going to have that killer instinct? And I don't know. I think it's very interesting to see what he's going to do going forward. I'd love to see Charles Leclerc in a championship winning car, just to kind of answer all the questions I've got. I'd like to see Carlos Sainz in a championship winning car, because I cannot imagine. He's a very strange driver as well. One week he's brilliant, one week he's awful. And again, in Miami, he seemed to be quick. He was outpacing Leclerc a few times in qualifying. So it's going to be interesting to see what he'd do in a championship winning car. But it's a big if. And also I do worry. I think Max Verstappen is... It's maybe not, as I said earlier, I think Charles can be better than anyone on his day, but I think Max is just more consistent. I don't think Max will do the crashes that Leclerc does. I don't think Fernando will do the crashes that Leclerc does. And I think that's where the concern comes in for me. So I'll be interested to know what everyone else thinks about this. Should I be worried about this? Is it a concern? So thank you all for listening, and goodbye.